sharp blinding light pierces through my eyelids as I slowly open my eyes. My limbs feel heavy and unresponsive, as if the bed had become part of me. What? I squint, trying to make sense of my surroundings, but everything is a blur. The sterile smell of disinfectant biting at my nose. The rhythmic beeping of machines fills the rooms like a metronome. I look around disoriented, my vision slowly coming into focus. I'm lying in a bed covered in crisp white sheets. And there's something strapped to my arm? An IV line? What's this doing in my arm? Ugh. As I come to, there's a deep throbbing ache in my head that feels like it's about to split my skull from the inside. Why am I... My thoughts are fragmented, disjointed, like pieces of puzzle scattered in every direction. My chest tightens as the realization hits me. I can't remember anything. What happened to me? Why can't I remember anything? I close my eyes, hoping for some fragment of memory to return. Think, just think. Nothing. My breathing quickens, my hands clutching the sheets in fear. How can I not remember anything? Why is everything blank? Every effort to remember ends with nothing. Just a void where my memories should be. I try to sit up, but a sharp pain shoots through my head, and I collapse back onto the pillow. My heart pounded in my ears, drowning out the faint beeping of machines. I feel my anxiety threatening to swallow me whole when suddenly, a calm, steady voice cuts through the chaos swirling in my head. Hey, it's okay. His voice was gentle, but there was a firmness to it, pulling me from the brink of panic. I slowly turn my head towards the source of the voice. A tall man stands beside my bed. He's tall, but there's nothing intimidating about him. His hair looks a little messy. Like he's been here for a while. Take a deep breath. Has he been here the entire time? Do you know where you are? I shake my head slowly, feeling tears prick at the corner of my eyes. Everything felt unfamiliar, terrifying. The walls were too bright, too sterile. Hey, it's all right. You're in a hospital. Nothing bad is going to happen to you here. Especially not with me around. The most important thing right now is that you're awake and talking. I take a deep breath, feeling the tightness in my chest start to loosen. His words were meant to comfort, and in a way, they did. But they also left me with questions. So many questions that my head felt even heavier than before. Do you remember your name? Oh, right, my name. What was my name again? Mercury. Mercury. My name is Mercury. Fantastic. That's a very good start. I should introduce myself. I'm Dr. Anselm. I was in charge of your surgery and have been overseeing your care since you were brought in. Surgery? I had surgery? What the heck happened to me? Yes, you were brought in with a traumatic brain injury. You were admitted with a skull fracture, leading to internal bleeding and the swelling of the brain. Emergency surgery was crucial to relieve the pressure on your brain. I stared at him, unable to fully process the magnitude of what he was saying. Brain surgery. I had brain surgery? My stomach twists at the thought. It was a very delicate procedure, but you came through it well. Since then, I've been monitoring you closely, waiting for you to wake up. You've been unconscious for a little over 2 days. The idea that I've been under his care all this time, that he's been watching over me while I was unconscious, is both strange and oddly comforting. I know this is a lot to take in, but I promise you're in good hands. I could see it in the way he spoke, the careful way he monitored my reactions, as if he were measuring every word to avoid overwhelming me. With the initial shock of my situation beginning to settle, a pressing question rises to the forefront of my mind. Do you know what happened to me? Did someone do this to me? For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his expression. I'm afraid I don't have the answers. That you were found unconscious and brought in by paramedics. From what I can tell, the significant impact suggests a forceful blow, or possibly a fall. Unfortunately, I don't have any more details beyond that. There were no witnesses. The people who found you didn't see what happened. They found you lying unconscious on the floor and called for help. A chill runs down my spine as his words sank in. No witnesses? The blank spaces in my memory suddenly feel much larger and darker. This must be a sick joke. So, no one knows how I ended up like this. I wish I had more information for you. Sometimes with injuries like this, the memory can be slow to return. Or it may never come back at all. But what's important is that we focus on your recovery. I swallow hard, the knot in my throat tightening. The idea that no one knows what happened, that I don't even know what happened. Will I ever get justice? Something deep inside of me boils. Frustration, anger, fear. But then I look at Dr. Anselm, the genuine concern and kindness in his eyes, and I simply felt safe. been here since the beginning, watching over me, guiding my care. Even though he doesn't have all the answers, he's still here, ready to help me. Thank you for everything. I don't even know how to begin to thank you. A slight blush rises to his cheeks, catching me off guard. He waved a hand dismissively, clearly flustered. Oh, don't be silly. You don't owe me anything, Mercury. I'm just glad I could help. Really, I don't know how to express how grateful I am. You're too kind. He glanced away for a moment, gathering himself before turning back to me. I'm just doing my job. Watching you recover, that's more than enough for me. Whatever happened, I'm going to do everything I can to help you through it. I take a deep breath, feeling a little steadier than before. I could feel the sincerity behind his words, his modesty almost endearing. The way he said my name, it wasn't clinical or detached. It made me feel like I was more than just another patient to him. Dr. Anselm takes a step back, giving a reassuring nod. I think it's best if you try to get some rest now. Your body still needs time to heal. I managed to grab his attention before he turned away. Wait. Can I contact my family? Just to let them know I'm okay. They haven't heard from me in days. I'm sure I must have worried them. A pang of unease hits me. Why hadn't anyone visited me? Oh, well, I'm afraid it's past the hospital's curfew. I can't make any calls at this hour. But don't worry, I'll make sure you get in touch with them first thing in the morning. The thought of waiting until morning feels like an eternity. Are you sure? I know it's the hospital's rule, but... The disappointment was heavy in my voice. He sighed and gently placed a hand on my head. I know it's hard. But right now, the best thing you can do is focus on getting a good night's rest. His hand rested there a moment longer before he pulled away. Your body has been through a lot, and rest is crucial for your recovery. I promise, as soon as it's morning, we'll make those calls. Your family will be the first to know. Okay. I murmured, unsure but too tired to argue. Just try to relax now. The severity of my situation still lingers, but there's also a sense of exhaustion settling over me, pulling at my eyelids and making my body feel heavy. Maybe he's right. Maybe rest is exactly what I need right now. Alright, I'll go to bed now. Thank you, Dr. Anselm. His eyes twinkled softly. You're welcome. If you need anything, don't hesitate to press the call button. Rest well. We'll talk more in the morning. With that, he turns and quietly leaves the room, closing the door softly behind him. I'm left alone with my thoughts and the steady beeping of the heart monitor beside me. The room feels quiet and still. But there's a sense of safety in knowing that help is just a button press away. I close my eyes, trying to focus on my breathing, letting the sounds of the hospital fade into the background. The weight of the day presses on me, and slowly, as I drift off, I hold on to the hope that tomorrow will bring more answers, and finally, the sound of a familiar voice. My sleep was suddenly interrupted. A soft creak that echoed through the room. My eyes flutter open, but I was too groggy to fully register the sound. Was that my imagination? I groaned internally. Ugh, I can't be bothered. I shifted in bed, wanting to go back to sleep, letting my eyes close again, eager to sink back into sleep. But then I heard it again. A slow, deliberate creak, like someone was gently pushing the door. Still half asleep, I just tried to ignore it. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe the nurses were just checking in? I reasoned, forcing myself to relax. I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to force myself back to sleep. But that sense of unease started to creep in. I couldn't shake that feeling, like I wasn't alone. Something didn't feel right. With a groggy sigh, I forced my eyes open again and glanced at the door. That's when I saw them. A pair of eyes. They were peering at me through a gap in the door. The eyes almost blending into the shadowy gap, but there was no mistaking them. They were watching me. Oh God. Hi guys. Quick save that. I think I'm gonna do nothing. I wanted to look away, to close my eyes and pretend I hadn't seen anything. But I couldn't. I was paralyzed. My gaze locked with the eyes in the door. Oh my God. I squint, trying to focus on the narrow gap of the door. I can't make sense of what's happening. Was someone actually watching me? Am I imagining things? Call button. Call button. Help me, help me. Nope. Then, in a moment of clarity, I remembered the call button beside me. Call button! Call button, please! It was right there within reach, my lifeline to help. I fumbled for it with trembling hands, my fingers finally finding the button. The instant I pressed it, the eyes vanished. One moment they were there, and the next they were gone as if they had never existed. I quickly sat up in bed, staring at the door. The gap was now empty. I listened carefully, and then I heard it. The soft sound of footsteps, light and hurried, moving away down the hall. My pulse quickened, my mind reeling from what had just happened. Within seconds, Dr. Anselm enters the room. I came as fast as I could. His eyes immediately swept the room, searching for some unseen threat. I could see concern in his expression as he turned to me. Is everything all right? You pressed the call button. Did something happen? Someone was... I saw eyes staring at me, and they vanished the moment I pressed the button. I watched his eyes scan the room. He walked over to the door, glanced into the hallway before turning back to me. There doesn't seem to be anyone. You know, sometimes when we're exhausted, we see things that aren't really there. It's not unusual, especially when under a lot of stress. I shook my head. No, I'm sure of what I saw. They were right there. I even heard footsteps leaving after I pressed the button. Don't worry, I'll have someone check the security cameras to see if anyone was in the hall. For now, try and get some rest. I promise nothing bad is going to happen to you. He gave me a reassuring smile before leaving, but I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. As the door closed, I lay back down. I glanced at the door, half expecting to see those eyes again. I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep now, not after what I saw. Before I knew it, morning had arrived. I must have fell asleep somehow, despite the restless unease from the night before. I still feel exhausted. A soft glow of sunlight filtered into the room. As I blinked against the brightness, I realized that Dr. Anselm was sitting beside me. Good morning, Mercury. How are you feeling? I'm okay. Even as I said it, a deep weariness tugged at me, but I didn't want to worry him. He always seemed so concerned, so invested in my recovery. The last thing I wanted was to add to his burden. About last night, security couldn't find anything from last night's recording. His words hung in the air. What? Those eyes. Had it really been all in my head? Just a figment of my imagination? But I do hope you managed to get some sleep. I hesitated, unsure of how to respond. I gotta start saving. Insist. My breath hitched and anger flared at my chest. Are you serious? I snapped, my voice louder, harsher than I meant. I could feel the frustration boiling over, too intense to hold back. There was someone there, Dr. Anselm. I wasn't imagining it. I could feel them watching me. And you're telling me there's no proof? How am I supposed to sleep knowing that creep is still in this building? Dr. Anselm looked sad, like my reaction wounded him somehow. He opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out for a moment, and the silence between us grew thick with tension. I'll talk to them again later. His voice softer now, as though my anger had deflated him. I promise I'll dig deeper into this. I don't want you feeling unsafe. He paused, a quiet sadness in his eyes that I couldn't fully understand. You're right. I'll make sure they take a closer look. Trying to focus on something else, I reminded him. About the call you promised last night to my family? Of course I remember. I promised, and I always keep my promises. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a hospital phone, handing it over to you. Here you go. Let's get that call made. I eagerly take the phone. I dial the familiar numbers and press the phone to my ear. The phone rings once, then twice, and keeps ringing. I wait, holding my breath, but no one answers. Just the persistent sound of the ringtone, and then, finally,
hello, no one is available to take your call.
The voicemail.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Seriously? I feel a sinking feeling in my gut as the call goes to the answering machine. I lower the phone. I can't hide the disappointment on my face. I don't even try to mask it. No one answered. Dr. Anselm places a comforting hand on my shoulder, grounding me in the present. His touch was warm, comforting. I looked up, and his expression mirrored the sadness that I felt. I'm sorry. I know how much you wanted to speak with them. Maybe they're busy is all. Don't worry. I sigh, trying to push down the disappointment. Yeah, you're right. I tried to sound convincing, but the emptiness lingered. Dr. Anselm gently took the phone from me, his fingers brushing against mine. I know it's not the news you were hoping for, but I have something that might cheer you up. Before I could respond, he stood up, the shift in energy catching me off guard. With that, he steps out of the room for a moment. Something for me? Whatever he had planned, I hoped it would help take my mind off everything, even if just for a little while. He returns, carrying a tray with a delicious aroma wafting through the air. Ta-da! When it sets down in front of you. I look down at the plate. Bacon, eggs. Eggs and bacon arranged into a smiley face. My eyes widen in surprise. A big smile tugging at my lips. No, I love it. I just can't help but smile back at it. Aw, this is adorable. It's like my breakfast is cheering me on. Dr. Anselm chuckles, looking quite pleased with himself. Eggs and bacon are good for the soul. But the smiley face, that's for the spirit. Dr. Anselm watches me closely as I pick up my fork, his eyes gleaming with quiet anticipation. As I lift the fork to my mouth, I notice a smooth golden sauce pooling at the bottom of the pan, hidden beneath the food. Feeling intrigued, I scoop a bit of it up with my next bite. The moment it hits my tongue, the flavor deepens. Rich, creamy hollandaise sauce with a hint of tang that perfectly balances the savory bacon and eggs. The sauce elevates the meal in a way I hadn't even expected. This is amazing. I'm almost at disbelief at how delicious this simple meal is. I take it the smiley face is working its magic? Definitely. But the taste? That's what's really winning me over. The hollandaise adds this smooth, almost buttery richness. There's a big grin on Dr. Anselm's face. He's clearly pleased with my reaction. I thought the sauce might be a nice surprise. Adds a little something extra to bring it all together. You weren't kidding. I take another bite, savoring the way the creamy sauce cuts through the richness of the bacon. You could serve this at a restaurant. I've never had breakfast like this in a hospital before. Well, just wanted to make sure your first meal felt special. I pause, looking down at the plate again, and then back at him. Wait, did you make this? Mm-hmm. He nods, looking a little embarrassed. A soft blush creeps onto his cheeks as he looks down at the floor for a moment before meeting your eyes. Yes, I did. I know hospital food isn't exactly known for being, well, gourmet. I didn't want your first meal to just be survival food. I smile at his clear embarrassment, noticing the way he fidgets slightly. Like he's not used to this kind of attention. Well, you really outdid yourself. Thank you, Dr. Anselm. I really appreciate how much you do to make me feel comfortable, just despite everything. It's like you always know how to make things better. I watched him flush at the compliment. This time he seemed almost bashfully proud, a mix of shyness and happiness sparkling his eyes. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. I'll always make sure you're as comfortable as possible while you're here. Hearing that it's helping, that it makes a difference, it means a lot to me. So really, thank you for saying that. His genuine happiness really shone through. It was clear that my compliment had brightened his day in a way that went beyond mere politeness. As I'm about to finish the last bite of breakfast, my eyes drift to the cup of coffee sitting quietly on the tray. I hadn't noticed it the whole time I was enjoying my breakfast, black, steaming, and inviting. I reach for the cup, taking a tentative sip. I instantly paused. It's rich, smooth, with just the right hint of bitterness. It's not just good. It tastes exactly like the coffee I make. Not close, not similar, exactly. Wait. This tastes exactly like the coffee I make every morning. How's that even possible? I know. His voice barely above a whisper. So quiet that I almost wonder if I imagined it. He's standing there, his usual calm demeanor in place. But there's something different in the way he watches me. What was that? The words slipping out before I can stop them. He just smiles, a warm, casual smile. Like nothing is out of the ordinary. Oh? Really? I narrow my eyes, still processing the shock. No one ever gets it right the first time. Not the exact strength or balance of flavors. I take another slow sip, almost searching for a flaw. But there isn't one. This is spot on. Maybe I'm just good at reading people. His tone light, like he's just making conversation. but his words sent a shiver down my spine. Though I just can't pinpoint why. Either that or you've got some kind of sixth sense. It's kind of uncanny. I shake my head, trying to clear my thoughts. Am I overthinking this? I mean, it is just coffee. There's no need to make a big deal out of it. He made me breakfast, not to mention been nothing but kind to me. Why am I doubting him? It's just a harmless coincidence. It has to be. He chuckles, the sound light and breezy. Let's call it a lucky guess. You just strike me as someone who enjoys strong coffee. But I'm glad I could make something right for you. His words are genuine. I suddenly feel guilty for letting my mind wander like that. He's been so considerate. Maybe I'm reading too much into things. I take another sip of coffee, feeling the warmth spread through me. There's no way he meant anything strange by it, I think to myself, relaxing a bit. He's just trying to make my stay a little more bearable, going above and beyond because he cares. I shouldn't doubt him. He's done nothing but try to help. As I set the cup down, I glance back at Dr. Anselm, who's watching me with that same gentle smile. The warmth of the coffee lingers on my tongue, and the upsetting thoughts fade into the background. Thanks, Dr. Anselm. It does make a difference. You're very welcome, Mercury. As he glances at his watch, his expression shifts ever so slightly. You should probably get some rest now, he says as though he's reminding me of something important. You've had a long morning, and it's important you don't overexert yourself. I'm fine. Dr. Anselm smiles, but there's a firmness in his gaze that makes it clear he's not going to entertain any arguments. I know you're strong, but you still need time to heal. Pushing yourself won't help. He steps closer, his hand lightly brushing the edge of my blanket as he adjusts it over my legs. There's a tenderness in the gesture, something careful and deliberate. You need to take it easy. An unexpected wave of fatigue hits me, leaving me more tired than I anticipated. Whoa, am I experiencing the effects of a food coma? I sigh, feeling the pull of drowsiness become harder to resist. As if sensing my thoughts, he offers me a reassuring smile. I'll be back to check on you later. Oh, wait. Oh. With that, he quietly leaves the room, closing the door gently behind him. I can't wait to hallucinate again. I'm probably having a food coma. Dr. Anselm did say I need a lot of rest. I closed my eyes and nuzzled my face against the pillows. Time slips by, and I'm finally awake from my peaceful nap. I rub my eyes, trying to shake off the drowsiness. Something catches my attention. The door to my room is slightly ajar. Why is the door left open like that? Was it... No, I'm sure I saw Dr. Anselm close the door before he left. Was somebody watching me sleep? The sight of the partially open door leaves me feeling on edge. I feel vulnerable, exposed. I sit up, heart thudding in my chest, trying to rationalize the situation. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe... Suddenly, the door creeps open wider. A figure steps into the room. Oh, it's Dr. Anselm. Knock, knock. Smiling warmly, holding a clipboard in one hand and a small tray with medication in the other. I'm here for your checkup and medication. He notices the fear etched on my face. You look terrified. What's wrong? With my heart still racing, I explained quickly. I was taking a nap, and when I woke up, the door to my room slightly opened. It reminded me about what I saw last night. His face changes slightly to one of guilt. His gaze drops to the floor. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mercury. I came in earlier to clear the tray and utensils from your breakfast. I saw you were sleeping, so I tried to leave quietly to not disturb your sleep. I must not have shut the door tightly. I'm really sorry. That must have been so frightening for you. I glance over and realize he's right. The breakfast tray is gone. I hadn't even noticed in my initial panic. A sense of embarrassment creeps in as I realize I may have overreacted. No, I'm sorry, Dr. Anselm. I think last night just left me feeling a little paranoid is all. He shakes his head. No need to apologize. It's completely understandable to feel uneasy. I should have been more careful. Your comfort and peace of mind are very important. I'm sorry for disturbing that. Thank you, Dr. Anselm. I guess I just need some time to adjust. Of course. He moves in closer to check my vitals. Let's get your checkup done, shall we? I promise I'll make sure to close the door properly next time. He places the tray of medication on the small table next to me. My eyes fall on the pills. So many pills. What are these for? He lifts a small plastic cup and shakes it lightly, making the pills inside rattle softly. Oh, these? They're painkillers and antibiotics. Given your injury, it's expected that you'll still experience headaches and occasional bouts of pain. The painkillers will help you recover comfortably while you're here. He pauses a moment before adding, leaning back as if considering the best way to explain. Now these... He holds up a larger red and white pill between his fingers. Are a bit stronger. A narcotic analgesic. It's a potent painkiller used for intense pain. So don't be alarmed if you find yourself feeling more sleepy than usual. He points at the antibiotic, ensuring you're following along, and then continues. Since I had to perform surgery on you, there's always a risk of infection. And I wouldn't want that happening to you. These will help minimize that risk, ensuring your recovery stays on track. I see. I feel more at ease with that explanation. Thank you for taking the time to explain it to me. Of course. It's important for you to understand your treatment. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask. Your recovery is my top priority. Speaking of recovery, a question sits heavily on my chest. How long do you think I'll take to make a full recovery? He lets out a gentle sigh before responding. Well, honestly, it's hard for me to say for sure. We can't push it or predict exactly how long it'll take. Some people feel faster than others. But when it comes to the brain, patience is key. it could take weeks or even months. Seeing the concern on my face, he quickly adds with a soft smile, I know it's not easy to hear. With injuries, especially ones like yours, we have to be patient. I need to ensure you can get back to your daily life safely when you're ready to leave. I noticed a hint of sadness in his eyes when he mentioned the possibility of me leaving. It's a fleeting expression, but I caught it. Then, just as quickly, he brushes it off, his professional demeanor returning, offering the same reassuring smile, although it seems a bit forced this time. As always, your recovery is what's most important right now, no matter how long it takes. I can't shake the feeling that there's more behind his words. Still, I decide not to press further. Dr. Anselm quickly changes the subject. Let's get you settled in with some dinner, shall we? He steps over to a small cart, lifting a bowl with a lid. He sets it down in front of me and lifts the cover to reveal a plain bowl of porridge. Compared to the delicious breakfast he made me earlier, the porridge looks a bit bland. I can't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. He chuckles at your reaction. I'm sorry, it's not quite the same as breakfast, is it? I can't always be spoiling you. Porridge is good for you. It's gentle on the stomach and easy to digest. I understand the need for a simple meal, even though it's not as appetizing. He gives me an encouraging smile as I picked up the spoon. Who knows? Maybe I'll surprise you with another special breakfast soon. I can't help but smile back. I'll hold you to that. I'll hold you to that. The taste may be bland, but the warmth and care behind it makes it a comforting meal. After I finish the porridge, I start to feel the heaviness of the drowsiness creeping in. It must be the medications kicking in. I struggle to keep my eyelids open. Dr. Anselm, always observant, notices my struggle to stay awake. Let me take this away so you can get a good night's rest. He moves quietly, carefully gathering up the dish in the tray. Okay, but you'll be back in the morning, right? Why, of course. I'll be here in the morning to check on you. Sweet dreams, Mercury. Alright, good night. As the room dims, I hear him softly shutting the door behind him. A simple assurance that the room is safe and secure. With the door closed, I finally allowed myself to fall asleep. The world around me fades. When my eyes open again, I'm not in my room. I'm standing in a narrow alleyway. The air is thick, hazy, making it hard to see much of anything. I start walking, my footsteps barely making a sound in the eerie quiet. Something about this place feels familiar. Almost like I've been here before. But I can't quite put my finger on it. The more I move, the more the sensation gnaws at me, tugging at something deep in my mind. Then it clicks. I'm dreaming. The realization brings a strange comfort, but also a deeper confusion. Why does this place seem so familiar? I keep walking, looking for an exit. But the alley stretches endlessly before me. No doors, no windows, no one else in sight. Suddenly, I hear extra footsteps echoing behind me. I'm not alone. My heart skips a beat. Just as I'm about to turn around, my eyes snap open and I wake up. Oh, hi. Hey! I'm immediately greeted by the sight of Dr. Anselm's face inches away from mine. Caught in 4K. Hello. Ah! We both yelp at the same time, startled. He jumps back so fast he nearly knocks over the tray beside my bed. His eyes are wide with shock and he looks as flustered as I feel. My heart's still pounding in my chest, not just from the dream, but from having him this close to my face. I open my mouth, but no words come out, feeling shy under his gaze. My words feel heavy and misplaced, as if they'd only make this moment more awkward. Sorry. He stammers, quickly standing upright. I didn't mean to scare you. I watch his hands fidget nervously. I was just checking your vitals, and you look so peaceful, and, it's okay. I mumble, cheeks warm. Suddenly, I'm unable to look directly at him. The room feels too small. There's a bit of silence before he quickly recovers. So, how was your sleep? It was weird, actually. I had this dream about an alleyway. Something flickers across his face. A slight shift in his expression, like he's suddenly paying extra attention. An alleyway? What happened? I shrug, still feeling a bit off from the dream. I was just walking, and then I heard footsteps behind me, like someone was following me, but I woke up before I could turn around. He listens carefully, eyes focused on me like he's considering something. There's a moment where I think he might ask more, but he doesn't. He gives a small chuckle. It does sound like a strange dream. But dreams are usually made up of random thoughts and feelings all mixed together. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I release a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for that, Dr. Anselm. Of course. He gestures to a small tray on the bedside table. Anyway, I brought your breakfast. I hope you're hungry. Ooh. I look over, noticing a bowl of salmon and rice. Though some of it has spilled onto the tray. His eyes widen in horror as he notices the mess. Oh no. I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. I can bring you a fresh one. It won't take long. Before he can leave, I reach out, my hand gently stopping him. No, it's fine, really. I want to eat it. It looks delicious. I pick up the spoon and take a bite. The buttery taste of the salmon immediately fills my mouth, and I smile at him. See, it's perfect. I say, my words muffled slightly by the food. His face softens, the guilt fading from his face. He watches me for a moment. There's something tender in his gaze that makes my chest feel warm. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Even if it's not exactly how I planned. After savoring the final spoonful of breakfast, I wipe my mouth and glance at Dr. Anselm, who is busy tidying up the tray. Hey, Dr. Anselm? Ooh. Can I go on a walk? Can I try calling my family again? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll ask if I can call my family again. Of course, let me get you the phone. He leaves the room briefly and returns with a phone in hand. I dial the number carefully, each press deliberate. I even double-check the numbers to make sure they're right. I bring the phone to my ear, waiting for the familiar ring, but again, there's no answer. I frown. This is the second time they haven't picked up. Something doesn't feel right. I take a closer look at the phone and realize there's no signal. I don't think it would have rung, but okay. Confused, I ask him, why isn't there any service? Dr. Anselm pauses for a beat before offering a quick response. Oh. I couldn't even read that. He said there was no signal. Bro said that so fast I didn't even get to read it. The room feels too quiet now, like the silence is pressing down on me. I sink back into the bed, exhaling softly. But I am suddenly overwhelmed by the sense of sleepiness. Wait, did I take my medication? The thought floats lazily in my mind, feeling distant and hard to grasp. I try to focus on Dr. Anselm, but his figure starts to blur. My vision slowly fading at the edges, and the room seems to spin. Before I can form a coherent question, I feel the warmth of his hand as he gently pulls the blanket back up over me, tucking me in with gentle care, but it all feels distant. I want to speak, but my body feels heavy, and my thoughts scatter. I'm pulled into sleep before I even realize it's happening. I gasp awake, my breath catching as I sit up. I blink, trying to gather my bearings. My head foggy, like I'm still caught in a dream. I sit up slowly, the weight of fatigue still pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. How long was I asleep for? Oh, good evening, Mercury. I look up, startled. It's Dr. Anselm. I rub my eyes, trying to shake off the grogginess. Evening. My voice scratchy, trying to shake the fog from my mind. How long was I asleep for? Only a few hours. You needed the rest. How are you feeling? I pause, trying to assess myself. Groggy, really groggy. I admit, the words slow to form. Why do I feel so tired? I ask my voice a little sharper than I intended. I mean, after breakfast, I was exhausted. He doesn't flinch or seem surprised by my question. Instead, he pulls up a chair and sits beside me. The same steady patience in his expression that he always has. Fatigue is one of the most challenging symptoms after a brain injury. The brain has to work much harder to compensate for the damage, even for the smallest tasks. It can drain your energy faster than you realize. His explanation is so calm, so reasonable that I found myself nodding almost automatically. I mean, it does make sense. Of course it makes sense. But why do I still feel unsettled? It's not unusual to feel exhausted out of nowhere in your circumstances. Your brain is basically working overtime as you recover. It's important to listen to it, to give yourself that rest when you need it. I'm nodding, but something inside me is stirring. Something uneasy. My gut tells me there's more. Something he's not saying. But his eyes, warm and kind, don't falter. He pauses briefly, giving the small cup of pills in his hand a gentle shake. Here we go. It's time for your medication. I will take it. I take it from him. The pills rolling slightly in the plastic cup as I tilt the cup in my hand. These will help. You've been pushing yourself. Your body needs the support. I nod, lifting the cup to my lips. The pills go down easily with a sip of water. They taste familiar, leaving a slight bitterness on my tongue like always. I feel a little more at ease as the fog in my mind starts to clear, if only slightly. Good. Don't worry. I will take care of you. You'll start to feel better soon. There's always something so reassuring about him. His quiet patience, the way he never seems frustrated, even when I ask the same questions over and over. It's like he understands without me needing to explain. Thank you. I say softly, sinking back into the bed, the sheets cool against my skin. My eyes are still heavy, but I'm less tense now, more at ease. His presence always seemed to have that effect on me. Dr. Anselm stays seated beside me for a moment longer. Then he stands slowly, as if not wanting to disturb the calm that settled over the room. If you need anything, just press the call button. I'll always be here for you. As the door closes softly behind him, the room feels quieter, but in a peaceful way. Like all the tension has been drained away. I pull the blanket up around me, feeling safe, cared for, and finally ready to rest. Dr. Anselm's words linger in my mind as I close my eyes. I'll always be here for you. With that thought, I let go of the last of my worries and let sleep take over, trusting that when I wake, I'll still be in good hands. Is that the end? Wait, hold on. I'm confused. So am I supposed to cuss him out? Hold on. Yeah, skip to the next thing, please. I forgot to save. Oh, let's try this. Can I go on a walk? I just need a change of scenery, stretch my legs a bit. He immediately stops what he's doing and turns to me. I'm afraid you can't do that yet. You're still not fit enough to exert yourself. I furrow my brows slightly. Not even walking? I ask, trying to push a little, thinking it wouldn't be too much effort. His stance doesn't soften. If anything, he seems more resolute, even walking. The finality in his tone makes it clear he's not budging on this. Just outside of my room? Absolutely not. There's a hardness in his expression that catches me off guard. For a brief moment, I felt a small flicker of fear, but just as quickly as it came, the intensity melts away and his usual demeanor returns. It's for your own good. Even a short walk could set you back. I need to make sure you're fully recovered before you go exerting yourself. His explanation is calm, but the memory of that shift suddenly lingers. The memory of that sudden shift lingers. Still, I nod, reminding myself that the doctor knows best for me. Very good. The firmness in his voice now replaced with a tone of approval. I sink back into the bed, exhaling softly. But I'm suddenly overwhelmed by the sense of sleepiness! Wait. Okay. Let's skip again. This is the end. I must reject you, sir. I'm sorry. I stare at the small cup of pills in Dr. Anselm's hand. I don't know why, but today, the sight of those pills makes my chest tighten with dread. He's watching me, waiting patiently. But something inside me snaps. No, I'm not taking them. I slap the cup away from his hands and the pills scatter across the floor. What the hell have you been giving me, Dr. Anselm? I feel exhausted all the time. I can barely think straight. And you just keep handing me these pills like it's nothing. Those are your prescribed medications, Mercury. They help manage your symptoms and reduce the pain. Without them, I don't trust you. How do I know they're not making everything worse? What if you're keeping something from me? Dr. Anselm looks stunned, but it's the sadness in his eyes that stands out. It's subtle, just beneath the surface, like he's holding it back, trying to stay composed. I'm not trying to hurt you. The medication is to help you recover. Without it, the pain will come back. I just can't bear to watch you suffer. But I'm not listening. The mistrust that's been festering inside me has reached its boiling point. I'm not taking them. I don't trust you. Dr. Anselm nods, his face falling just slightly as if my words weigh heavily on him. He looks at me for a long moment, something unspoken in his eyes, an almost pleading sadness. For a moment, I expect him to argue, to push back, but he doesn't. He sighs, stepping back. I won't force you. He stands, holding the now empty cup, his eyes locking with mine. There's no anger in his gaze, just a quiet sadness. As though he's trying to remain strong but can't fully hide how deeply my rejection has cut him. He turns toward the door, moving slowly, almost reluctantly. As he reaches the doorway, he pauses, his hand resting on the handle. If you change your mind, I'll be right here. His voice soft, but I can hear the pain in it. I'll never stop trying to help you. Then, with one final glance, he leaves the room. The door clicks shut behind him, leaving me alone with my racing thoughts and lingering tension. The room feels colder, emptier. I sit in the silence, the air thick with the tension of what just happened. My anger still simmers beneath the surface, but the moment Dr. Anselm leaves, doubt creeps in. I know I shouldn't have lashed out like that. But something inside me just couldn't let go of the distrust. With nothing left to do, I let out a long, shaky breath, trying to shake off the exhaustion that still weighs me down. Maybe I just need rest. Maybe everything will feel clearer if I can just sleep this off. But almost immediately, a sharp stabbing pain erupts inside my skull, so intense that it rips a gasp from my throat. The pain is unbearable, instant, and overwhelming. It's as if something inside my head is clawing, tearing, ripping to break free. I clutch my head in my hands, squeezing hard as if I can somehow crush the pain away. But it's useless. My vision blurs and darkens, the room twisting and warping around me. I can barely see. I need help. I need to call someone. I reach blindly for the call button, but my fingers are trembling so badly they feel useless, sliding across the bedside table in desperation. The call button tumbles from my hand, bouncing uselessly onto the floor. I know I have to move. I have to get help before this pain rips me apart. I force myself to stand, stumbling forward like a puppet whose strings have been cut. My legs give out beneath me, the world spinning as I fall. Crunch. The sound is horrible. A wet, snapping noise that reverberates through my body. It's as if something inside me snapped, but I don't know what. My neck? My spine? I hit the floor, crumpling in a heap. Mercury. Mercury! I barely register the sound of someone calling out my name. I can't move. I can't breathe. Please stay with me, Mercury. Mercury! This is all my fault. Please, Mercury, don't... But I can still hear them, barely, calling out to me again. Their voice breaking, filled with an immense desperation. My head hangs to the side, heavy and limp in their arms. The warmth tightens around me, holding me close. But I'm slipping. And then, complete silence. Oh, okay. So there's two endings. One ending where you take medication and presumably just keep getting treated, and the other one where you die. So yeah, that was Prescription Love. It's a cute little game. You can get it for free if you want, or you can toss the dev a few bucks. I can't resist a blonde man, so you know I had to play this. Well, tell me what you thought. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and comment. And subscribe if you want to see me do more stuff. Bye!